welcome. Come on in. Do you mind if I show you around?
We'd love to, thank you.
Come with me. So this is probably one of the smallest chocolate factories in the world, and we'll go inside afterwards. But first of all, let me show you a few little things around the corner. So if we come on in. So chocolate. We've been making chocolate here now for 11 years, and of course it all starts with a bean. So the beans, they basically grow all around the equator, so 10 degrees north or south of the equator. So think rainforests. And the process basically is there's 2, sometimes 3 harvests a year. So the beans are harvested. They're then fermented for about 5 days, which develops massively the flavour. They then dry them out in the sun, and then they're shipped over to Europe. So the beans actually grow in these pots. This is a pod, and opened up, they look like they are white, but they're not. The beans are actually covered in like this sticky jelly. And it's quite interesting. The jelly itself is delicious. The beans are awful until they've been roasted. They taste of acid, like battery acid. And we're called the Mayan Monkey Mijas. And the reason for that is that the monkeys, they would climb up the tree to get access to the sugary jelly that's inside these pods surrounding the beans. And then they would start chewing them. And then when they get to the beans themselves, they'd spit them out. So they would act as nature's farmers, so they're very, very, very useful. Now, you get about 50 of the beans per pod. These are the beans here. And 50 beans is enough to make 1 decent bar of dark chocolate, or 6 bars of milk or white chocolate. So, first thing that we do when we get the beans, or what we used to do, is we'd have to roast the beans. And this is the very first roaster that I bought. We call it Dora, because Spanish for roaster is tostadora. She's from 1936. She works perfectly well, but we're not legally allowed to use her here because Mijas has been designated an historic village or an historic town, and anything that creates the mere whiff of smoke, even though we've got behind me here, we've got some very advanced smoke suppression systems. We're no longer allowed to roast here, so we have the beans roasted out of the village. And when I say out of the village, actually in Amsterdam. They come into Europe, into the port of Amsterdam, they're roasted there for us, and then they're sent to us here roasted. So yeah, it's a shame because, my goodness, when we were using this machine, the aroma that it generated, everybody would come. What's that beautiful aroma? So anyway, that's the first stage, is roasting. The second stage, if we could just go back in time now, about 150 years, and you went back to, say, the Cadbury's factory, you would see row after row after row of these machines. This is an old cacao mill. Now we call her Molly because Spanish for mill is molino, and this would have been steam engine driven. Basically the beans would be put into here, and then there'd be a pulley here which would spin this wheel, and that would turn almost 2 tons of granite stones. Now what's kind of curious is, if I show you here on this photograph, after about 8 hours, 10 hours of grinding the beans look like they're liquid. And in fact they are. And the reason why they become liquid is because the beans contain about 60% cocoa butter. So once it's melted, it'll be at that stage where the organic cane sugar is added, and then 2 days later, because it takes about 2 days to grind the sugar crystals into such a fine size that your tongue doesn't notice any grittiness whatsoever, you've then got dark chocolate. So, and if you're making milk chocolate, you'd pour in, it's going to be powdered milk. So all these adverts that you see on the telly where they're pouring in a glass and a half of milk, it can't be liquid or else the chocolate would be ruined. Now, of course, we don't use this machine. It would never pass any health and safety certificates or anything like this. It's very, very, very dangerous. So the actual machine that we use for grinding the beans is inside the factory, and I'll show you that shortly. So Molly I found rusting away in a barn in Zaragoza. This is how she looked like when I first bought her. And I thought, with my usual over-optimism of my technical abilities, that a couple of weeks and we'd have her in a fairly well-restored fashion that she is now, but it actually took me closer to 3 months. So this is Heidi. Heidi is from 1931, and she's a Heidelberg cylinder press. She used to print newspapers, but only in black and white. And so what we've done, we've modified her so she doesn't print anymore, she cuts and she creases. So let me show you this. This is one of our box designs. This box design here is for the school. So when the schools come, when half the children inside the factory making their own bars of chocolate, half of them are in this room here, and they're actually colouring in and learning about packaging design. So this is the sheet as it comes off the printer, but we now have to cut this out. So let me show you how Heidi works. So these sheets now have gone through the press, and now let me show you this. These are now cut out. So here's a cacao pod. So we shake this like so. Okay, and let's just get this separated. So we separate it like this, separate it, separate it, separate it. This bit gets recycled. So we've now got the shape of the box, and now it's a question of we fold it, 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 we fold it again, we glue it, and we now end up with a box of chocolates. So that's how we make all the packaging here. But this machine isn't the oldest machine that I've got here. Let me introduce you to our oldest machine. So if you follow me, we go around over here.
We're repeat customers.
And what we've got here is, this is a metate. Now, if you travel to Central or Southern America, or even India, you'll see these used to this day. But basically, about 3,000 years ago, it was either the Mayans, or the Aztecs, or the Incas, or the Olmecs. Nobody really knows who was the first, but I think it was the Mayans. And they discovered that if you roasted the cacao bean, if you ground it up here on this metate, after about 20 minutes of pretty hard effort, you'll see already this is starting to become liquid. Now once this cacao is fully liquid, the Mayans would scrape it into a ceremonial bowl where they'd add hot water, they'd add vanilla, they'd add chili, so it was really spicy, and pepper. But what they wouldn't add was sugar, because there was no sugar in Mexico 3,000 years ago. So it was a really bitter energy drink. Now the Mayans call the drink bitter waters, but in their language, the word for water is atel, A-T-L, and the word for bitter is choco with an X. So they call the drink chocolatl. So what we've got here, Alan, this is the actual mill that we use for grinding both the cacao, but we also use it, we make all the ice creams here, so what's inside of there, that's actually pistachio. So we've roasted the pistachio. We roast pistachio here in small quantities, like 5-10 kilos at a time. We can get away with that, no problem at all. We can't get away with roasting 10 tons of beans. And then what happens here is we put the pistachios in here, and then we grind it for about 8 to 10 hours, and that makes it into the most beautiful nut butter. So which we then mix with the organic cream and the cane sugar and the milk to make the most delicious ice creams. It's like how ice creams were made 50 years ago. So that's our mini molly. And can I show you how we make a bar of chocolate?
Great.
Perfect, let me get a mould. So what we've got, this is a polycarbonate mould. Now these used to be made 70 years ago. This would have been made out of ceramics, but of course if you drop it, it would shatter. So polycarbonate, and literally what we do is to make the bars. So there's 1, 2, that's the first stage. Okay, and then we'll walk over to here. As we're in Andalucía, we now do some flamenco dancing. Olé! That flattens the chocolate out, gets rid of any trapped air bubbles, and then we have all these different ingredients where we decorate the bars. I don't know, what do you like? What flavours are you into? We've got coconut, we've got ginger, beautiful ginger, so cranberries, muscatel raisins, nuts, cashew nuts, pistachios, hazelnuts, almonds, so many different flavours. So literally we'll just choose some of these ingredients, we pour them on top.
Okay.
And
Raisins?
yeah, let's get some raisins on here. So let's make this one a. Now, there we go. That's a few different raisins. There we go. And what else do you like?
Can we do a crunchy one with the nibs?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is with the cacao nibs. So let's. Okay. And what about the third bar? What do you fancy? Some white chocolate. Lovely. Let's just get these. Okie dokie. So now, this then goes to be chilled for about 10 minutes. Perfect. 10 minutes in there. We'll then take them out, we demold the bars, package them up, straight into the shop.
takes a long time to make one of these because I need to put in every single one of them the same color, and then I can continue with another color and like that. For example, if I want to use this that is a little bit more strong on the color, little details. And then I can use this one. It's going to start mixing with the red. White. I'm going to show you one so you can see how it looks in the end. But when I make every single one with the same color first. I'm going to do one to make the eye. And like that. Lovely bars. Here. First we put this, and then the name of the person who did it. Adam. Yeah.